Welcome to part 5 of Competency 14. In this video, we will work with parabolas. Before we begin, you might want to stop the video and take a screenshot of these properties. Very rarely will you be questioned in a manner that's very basic, what we learned in high school, which would be the x squared is the parent, and then they have shifting up, shifting down and right and left. It'll be more along the lines of this format and the foci and other type questioning, your directrix, those things. So be prepared for that if you're not used to seeing those things. Familiarize yourself. Number 1, what are the coordinates of the vertex for the graph of y plus 8 squared equals -1 times x plus 9. Okay, this is vertex form, so that's pretty simple question. You just solve for y, so your y would be -8, and then solve for x, and your x would be -9. So obviously the coordinate that we need is -9, -8. That gives us option D. Okay, let's move to number 2. Okay, what is the equation of the parabola whose focus is located at 3, 2, and whose directrix is line x equals 11? Trying to get this to go up better a little bit. And sorry about that. Okay, there we go. Okay, so what do we need to do? I know first that I will have a line. Oh, let's pretend like I can draw again. And let's pretend like everything works. There we go. Okay. There, that's a little bit better. Ugh. Okay, so this is going to equal 11. I know that that's the line. I also know that because that line is vertical, I know that my axis of symmetry will be horizontal. Well, I also know what that will be. So I know I have this, and I know I have a focus at 3, 2. Okay? Well, the focus will be on your axis of symmetry. And obviously, if x is 11, this is what we have. We know that x is 11, but I also know that my y has to be 2. Because somewhere on this axis of symmetry, over here at this end, obviously it's because my x is 3, this has to be 3, 2. And it's this 2 here that clues me in. I know that this line of symmetry going through that parabola, I know that it has to be y equals 2. Okay, remember, we have symmetry going on, and that helps us out. It helps us find what we need. I also know that right in the middle will be a vertex, and that'll help me get my vertex form. And you can look at your options that you have, your A, B, C, D, and see that we're on the right track. Okay, and I know that if I go from 3 to 11, that's 11 minus 3 equals 8. And half of 8 means I have 4 plus 4. Okay, so I have a distance of 8, split it in 2. Right there in the middle, I have my vertex. Okay, so 3 plus 4 is 7. And I know it's on y equals 2. There we go. And because of where the directrix is, I know the direction that my parabola will open, and that will be to the left because my focus is right here. Okay? That also helps me out. It makes sense with these equations. the first thing I need to acknowledge is that my vertex is 7, 2, coordinates of 7, 2. This tells me that any equation that has x plus 2 and y plus 7 will not work, okay, because my coordinates are positive. So A and D are out. Now, how do I know between B and C? Well, it has to be C because everything's opens to the left. And you go back and look at your properties, and you will see that that is the vertex form that works with your P, because I know that my P, because I have minus 16, that means I have, oh, you always have 4, and then it has to be times, oh, sorry, minus 4. I don't know where I got that from. I know where I got it from. That value will come up in another one. So I have to have a negative 4 in there somewhere. Just so happens that negative 4 is my P. Okay, and that tells us that P is less than 0, so everything is correct. I said that, and we go through that. Let's put this in the calculator. Okay, let's get to the calculator now and start doing this. We're going to finish out with that. Anyway, so what do you need to do? I need you to go to apps again. In prior videos, we've done this. And we need number 4 for your conics, but we're using number 4 this time, the parabolas. Let's 4 again, okay? And you know what? Before we even do that, we need to make sure our window's correct, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and push enter. And I have this set up with H, our H needs to be 7. Let's see what window we have. And our K needs to be 2. We have 7, 2. Yeah. And our P is negative 4. So let's put in negative 4. All right. And I have to push enter. It won't take. Now let's push graph. Okay. But look at what our window's doing. It's off over there. We can't really see everything. We don't have a good judgment. I mean, it looks like we're correct. However, let's do something. If we go back second mode and we're right here, let's push mode again. That's what you need to remember. Go to your main home screen for your conics, push that, and look at where we get to set our window. So I'm on functions. I'm not on the other items. I'm not on polar or anything. So I go down in window settings. It's on auto. You don't want that to get a good view. Let's go over to manual and push enter. Now let's escape. My y equals, let me escape. Let's go back to my 4. And remember, we were in number 1 because we have a y minus k set up. And let's graph it. There we go. Okay, now we can count. We can figure out where our lines need to be. Everything's where we want. And we can go into our window settings. Much better. Okay, so let's go to the next one, number 3. What is the equation of the directrix for the graph of x plus 5 equals minus 24 times y minus 1? Okay, we know some things already. We know that 1, because of this x plus 5 to the square, we know that our parabola is going to open up or down, okay? So we know that x equals minus 5, and we know y equals 1. We also know that our p will be minus 6 because this is 4 minus 6. So this gives us P equals a minus 6, okay? And we know it's going to open up or up or down, okay? Well, our P value is less than 0, so it has to open down. So what's our symmetry? Our line of symmetry will go like this, okay? And we know that we know what our vertex is. our vertex will be minus 5, and oh, that's just a 1. That's just a plus 1. Okay. And this will be a plus 1. So we know that this is x equals minus 5, but that's my symmetry. My directrix, I'm going to change colors. That's going to be up here somewhere. That will be y equals something. Okay. Right. And we can see from our options that it has to be y equals. So we know we're on the right track. Okay. Well, now what is our p? Well, our p is 6. Remember? And we're looking at our y right here. So that means that it has to go up 6, a distance of 6. So, and our focus will be down here somewhere, but it's going to be minus 6 going that direction. So let me draw this so you see the whole picture, and then we'll do it in the calculator. Okay, so this means this here has to be at -5 and 7. So this will be, change colors, y equals 7. And option C. Well, let's put that in the calculator, double check, just in case I did something wrong. And, oh, sorry about that. Okay, so let's put this in. And when you're doing a test, it never hurts. Uh-oh, sorry about that. It just went away, didn't it? Okay, sorry. All right. Tells you things to come. I had it set up for other stuff. Okay, so what do we need? We need 4, but we need number 2 now. And we push enter. Okay, so we have a -5, -5, and then a 1 for our K, but P is -6. Now let's graph. Oh goodness, I'm going to have to change the window, but looks like we're correct. Let's trace, and we're at -5. So it's kind of flattened out, but we could change our window. Let's see if it'll let us do that. Okay. Well, how much do we want to change? Do we want to say 20? I don't know. Let's play with it and see what happens. Let's do 20 for the X and the Y. Okay. Remember, don't mess with that 1. And let's go over 20. Let's go 20. Remember, you have to have a minimum of -20, and you don't have to, but it just adjust your window accordingly. Play around with it. Okay. Now let's see if it works. Okay. We have to go back to our app. Oh, let's enter, back out. Okay, let's go back down. Okay, and remember we were at number 2, correct? Yes. And enter. Now we graph. Let's see. Oh, it didn't change. Okay. All right, well, I guess it's we get what we get, right? Even though we have it on manual. Well, let's go back and see. I just wanted to see if it would do that. I don't know. Some of the calculators it does, some it doesn't. Well, let's try mode and go back to auto and see what auto gives us. Take advantage of playing around, see what happens. Okay, let's go back down to 4 and 2, and let's graph. Oh, look, okay. Well, it scoots it over for us, but either way, we know we did it correctly. So that's not bad. Didn't take us too long. Yeah, let's go to number 4 then. Okay, so it says, what are the coordinates of the focus? Now, that's a little different, okay? And it says for this graph, and it has y squared plus 8y minus 8x plus 8. Okay, what we need to do here is a little bit of manipulation because we can't put it in the calculator in this form. That'd be great. But if it did that, then they probably wouldn't let us use a calculator on the test anyway. Okay, what we need to do is completing the square. All right, so let's do a little moving over. So we have y squared plus 8y plus, I don't know on this side, equals 2. 8x. We're moving all of this to the other side, okay? 8x minus 8 plus, I don't know what I need squared. Okay, obviously, if you remember how to complete the square, we take the 8, divide it by 2, gives us 4. 4 times 4 is 16. So we need to add 16 to both sides, okay? Now, I know what this is going to give me. On the left-hand side, I have y plus 4 squared. On the right-hand side, I have 8x plus 8, which becomes, okay, 8x with x plus 1. Okay, now I know that I have a particular p right here. I'm going to change colors here. I know that my p has to be 2, okay, because 8 equals the 4 times 2. P equals 2. Okay, so P is greater than 0, so this graph should open up. That means I should have a parabola that opens up. Okay, now, and I know also that x equals minus 1. Okay, so that means that I know I have x equals minus 1. And to get my focus, my x value of my focus, I add 2. Okay. Oh, I was incorrect on it opening up. Oh my gosh, I bet you guys were like, you've got the wrong form. Good thing I saw that. I do not want to have to redo this video. Okay, that means it has to open uh the positive direction. So if your P is greater, that means it opens up to the right. Yes, absolutely. Double check that. All right, so this means that I have to have 1 for my X, for my focus, okay? And I already know right here that Y equals minus 4. Okay, so I know I need y is -4, so I need 1, 4. I need coordinates of 1 and -4. Sorry, -4. So my option is B. Okay, so let's go put this in the calculator and verify what I have, especially since I told you the wrong direction to begin with. So let's get this correct. Okay, let's go second mode and go down to parabola. And okay, it's a y squared situation. So we have the first one. Okay, so we know that y is minus 4. That'd be my 8. Oh, no, my h is, oh my goodness, no, clear that out. My h is 1, and you enter, and the y is minus 4. There we go. And our p is 2, and I have to push enter, it won't take. Now let's graph that, and lo and behold, I was correct. Let's go change our window. Okay, remember we have it back on auto. Okay, I wonder if I push mode from here if it'll work. Yes, it does. Great. Okay, I go over and I pop over and push manual. Okay, and I pushed enter. It's highlighted, it works. Okay, I'm going to go second mode. Now, I'm going to go back to it. Okay, and we were on the first one and graph. That's a lot better. It looks more like what I would expect. And let's trace, and tracing gives us 1, -4 at our vertex, but it asks for, wait a minute, 1, -4. That's our vertex. That's not our focus. Oh no, we are wrong. Ooh. So what would that be? Well, what are we really doing here? We need this. We need to see that we have a directrix here, a vertex here, and then over here we have a focus. And in between, we have that P. So this is, okay, I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh no, I've told you incorrectly again. Well, another mistake made and another learning moment. Let's go back to second mode and go back to it. And let's look at what I really did that was incorrect. You see your H? That's not it. That's the focus. Okay? So that isn't, we we had put in the actual uh our answer was correct. What did I do wrong? Well, the vertex is -1, -4. The focus is different. So let's put in the vertex for the vertex form. Okay? All right, push enter so it takes. Everything else is correct. Now, this is the graph. So let's think about this. If that's the case, okay, that means that we're going to go, it'll be 4. See the difference? -4 is the y. So this is y equals the -4. Okay? So this is the parabola here. Okay? So what is our focus? Well, and let me get, this is misleading right here. So you see that we have the axis in between that, okay? So when we move from one side to the other is why we have the 1, because we're moving 2, okay? So let's see here. If I draw this, I don't know if I'm helping anybody at this point or not. Okay, pretend like I can draw. Okay, so, but you have to move a distance of 2. This is 2 from, our directrix would be here. So this would be 2, and this would be 2. So this means that this point will be 1 -4. Yet your vertex would be -1 -4. Okay? And let's trace to double check that. Now when we trace, our vertex is on -1 -4. Well, all these things that I just did and the mistakes that I showed you, every bit of this are mistakes you can make very easily on a test. And I said, oh no, are we right? Did we do this right? Actually, if I had taken a test and made this mistake, it would have been counted correct, even though I didn't match my graph correctly. Okay, that being said, let's leave that graph up, but we need to go to number 5 and double check this and what all this means and where we're leading. Number 5, which graph represents y squared plus 8 squared minus 8x plus 8 equals 0? Okay, this is exactly like the problem in number 4, and we already have it on our calculator and graph. Okay, and we can see right away that B and D will not work. They're inappropriate. Now, A and C are very close, but if you remember, when I drew this out and made all those great mistakes I made, one thing we saw was that the y-axis should go right down the middle of it, and we have a distance of 2. So if we look over here, be careful though. We still have that y-axis, but how do we ensure that? Along with making my mistake, remember, I did have that particular vertex of -1, -4. So let's trace. And -1, -4 comes up as the vertex, which obviously is not A. A has -2, -4, okay? So A won't work and C is our option, okay? So let's go to number 6. What are the coordinates of the focus for the graph x squared plus 8y minus 8x plus 8 equals 0? Okay, it's very similar. Yes, I agree. It's a lot like the last two questions. However, they've switched out the x squared, the y squared with the x squared. Okay, but we're still doing the same steps. So we have to complete the square. So x squared minus 8x this go round, okay? Plus, I don't know to complete the square, equals minus 8y minus 8 plus, I don't know. We're using 16 again because when we divide -8 by 2, we get -4. And we square that, we get 16. Remember, what you do on one side, you have to do on the other. So we can clean that up. That means we have x minus 4 squared on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, we will have minus 8y minus 1. Now you may say, where on earth did you get that from? Well, let me draw it out for you. We have minus 8y plus 8. Well, when you pull out, you backwards distribution, think about it. It does come out just like that. Okay, now, that being said, we have vertex form. Now, we know that the vertex is x equals 4 and y equals 1. Also, our p-value will be -2 because we have 4 times -2. So p equals -2. All right, so we know a couple of things. We know that because we are squaring the x, that we have a parabola that will open up or down, but we know it opens down because p equals -2. Okay? This tells us that the axis of symmetry will be at x equals 4. And the focus must have 4 as the x value. Well, if we look at all of our options, none of them have that except for A. Now let's go put this in the calculator and double check our thinking and draw it out quickly. And I also have something else I want to show you, but let's put it in the calculator, okay? Second mode, okay? And we have number 4, and we want to go down to number 2, okay? And we need to put in 4 inner and 1 inner, but P is -2. Okay, now let's graph. Great, that's a good graph. Okay, and if I move down 2, that means I'm going from 1 down to -1. Okay, however, I would like to switch things out and show you, kind of using GeoGebra, how this would look and move it around a little. But we do know that A is the focus. Okay, so here we have a comparison of number 6, the last question, and I have the graph of the calculator up. Now here's GeoGebra, okay? And when you solve the equation that we had, if you put it in standard form, we end up with -1/8 x squared plus x minus 1. And then you come over here in the pink with our three-dimensional. I'll move that for you. See that three-dimensional? How it looks. And notice that is the precise equation that we had in number 6. And then where I solved it through to standard form, this is what we end up with. This is just some use of GeoGebra when you're showing your students, and if you're not sure and you're learning, it's a good way to compare. But when you compare across, we end up with all the same things. We end up with a vertex exactly where it should be. We can count down and notice that's our symmetry. It all works out nicely. But it's always nice to see what that would look like and to double check in the form that was given to us, okay, in the pink. Okay, this is the end of our video, and I really appreciate everybody who's been watching, definitely subscribing and sharing. And don't forget that we need the subscription so we can keep this online. And I really like it that everybody's watching, and I do appreciate you. Also, happy testing.